What's going on today, everybody? I hope you're having a fantastic day. I know I am, because we're fixing something that's kind of been bugging me for a little bit. Now, the newer truck, I got a work truck, and it's a 21 Ford F450, but it's the base model. Now, the base model comes with a certain cup holder, and that cup holder, it doesn't fit my phone. So, we're going to be changing that up today. So here's the cup holder for the 21 Ford F450, but this has a decent sized pocket right here that isn't bad, and I don't have a huge phone, but my phone doesn't fit in there. So if we go ahead and put our phone in, the phone doesn't quite fit. It's so close to fitting, but it doesn't. So we're going to actually change this out today and make it a little bit cooler than anything else I've seen. First thing we need to do when we're going to take this out is pull our little rubber piece out. It should just pop out. There's a couple little tabs. And then we need to get to a Torx bit that is underneath there. Well, now at this point in the video, you're probably asking, how am I going to make this fit my phone? Am I going to cut it out and rework the whole system? The answer is no. Ford actually makes their own factory insert for this for a much bigger tray right there, I guess. Now, the King Ranch, and I don't remember the exact models, but the upper models of the Ford actually have a much bigger area right there for things and stuff. So if you go ahead and you order that, and I'll have the parts list down below, there's 3 different colors and they end in AA is gray, AC is tan, and AB I believe is like a black or a very, very dark gray. We've got the light color gray, medium gray I think is what they call it, which is the AA. It's going to be a lot of your standard color options, but we've got that. We've got a new one from the King Ranch that has a much bigger tray right there. So we're going to go ahead and install that, but I'll show you a problem that we're having with it. So here we have the old factory one from the lower trim model, and we'll go over to the new upper trim model. You can see how much bigger that tray is compared to this tray. So if we put them kind of side by side here, now you can see just how much more of that space is taken up in the tray. As a comparison, now you can see my phone in this tray versus the old tray, where it doesn't quite want to fit in there. Whereas over here, I've got more than enough room, to the point where it's too much room. So when I'm driving, this thing's going to be sliding around in here. Now, luckily, the newer iPhones have the magsafe charger. It does 2 things. It's going to charge the phone. It also has a magnet to hold the phone kind of where it needs to set. So if I go ahead and put this in the middle, I should be able to hold the phone where it's at, and also be able to charge the phone when I just set it down and go. So we're going to go ahead and install, this is a cheap third-party MagSafe, because I could get it the next day. Just showed up, so we're going to go ahead and install this. It's also black. Match the black on the insert a little bit better, so we'll go with that. And I'm not going to feel bad if I ruin this versus a MagSafe Apple one. Now, to go along with the MagSafe, or the charger, how am I going to put it to the truck? Now, I'm going to solve that by adding another USB port to it, but this one is a USB-C, because this cable charger has a USB-C on the bottom of it. So, now we can go ahead and add a fuse to like the cigarette lighter, bring those wires up to the cup holder, have an auxiliary USB charging port. I'm thinking inside the cup holder. So we'll go ahead and put this charging port, which has actually type C and USB, put this inside the cup holder, and then we'll be able to put the charger in the cup holder, like underneath everything, and hopefully mold this new charger into our cup holder. We'll see how well this works. We're gonna go give it a shot though, because why not? So now, before we even start to do any cutting or modifying of anything, let's test the theory, see if this is even going to work with the charging system. Get the charging system, make sure that that works, and then we'll go ahead and start retrofitting this charger into the cup holder. So now I've got the whole charger set up. Got our MagSafe charger here. We've got it hooked into our USB adapter. This USB, add a USB, is got positive, negative, and a fuse. It's very, very important to have a fuse because this is going to be all hidden, and it's going to be in the cup holder, which is going to be a pretty tight area. So make sure you have a fuse. If it pops a fuse, perfect. That will save everything. Save the truck even. So we've got our phone. We've got a case on it. Case kind of, you can tell where it fits. So we've gone ahead and now it's on there. Now I've got a battery, an extra 12-volt battery, and we're going to check to make sure that this has got power going to the phone once we hook it to a battery 12-volt source. So let's go ahead and I'll hook this all up and see if it turns on. Sweet, it all works on the bench. Takes a second to start up, but that's fine. Everything's it's got capacitors in there, they got to charge. That's okay. Now we'll go ahead into the retrofit side of things and start trying to get this put together. Before we get too far in this project, let's make sure that it fits first. And one of the biggest things that's going to be a problem is if you see, this is nice and flat right here. And there's not a bunch of stuff coming around the sides. It's got a flat bar that sits actually on this piece right here. And then the Torx bit holds the two together. On this one, we've got a couple things that are actually sticking up above where that sits. It's going to be a problem. So we're going to have to trim the truck side of this to make sure that it fits around these brackets right here. Because otherwise, this won't go down far enough for the cup holder to actually be installed. So we've got to trim the truck just a little bit to make sure that that fits. So we've got a 2-inch wide strip that's down on the bottom of that. And about a 1/2 inch has to come off on both sides. I got some marks on there. That is the bare minimum that I have to take off to the inside of that black line. So I got to take all that material off all the way, pretty much. I'm going to just take it off all the way because it's just going to make it easier. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. Now I don't really have a good way of removing it. There's not really enough area. You can try to undo these 2 bolts and get it out. I have the head or the fabric kind of laid back, but I don't think that that's going to do the best because after undoing both these bolts, the steel feels pretty solid back in the back here. Something else is holding it up around this area. I don't want to take all this off because I just don't feel like it. So we're going to go ahead and try the old hot knife technique. Get a razor blade. We might even be able to cut it with just a razor blade and some time, but if we heat it up, it's going to go a lot faster. So we're going to go heat up a knife. Be very, very careful. Make sure you know where you're setting your torch or however you're heating it up. Another way I thought about was a soldering iron. If you have a soldering iron, might be pretty okay way to go ahead and cut that out. But this is the way we're going to try right now. So the heating it up actually didn't help me out too much. The best was a nice new razor blade, and then you just give it some good sawing action. You can saw it down, and it cuts good enough. And then on the long side, I went ahead and I just scored it a whole bunch. So I went through, made a whole bunch of marks along here, cut the side, and then I made a relief cut right here and right here. Broke those little tabs off, and then just kept doing little cuts right here, putting pressure down, and it managed to break this whole side off pretty cleanly. So now we've gone through and we've got all of our scores done. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts that go all the way through, and I can't quite get this long line to go all the way through. So I've just gone through and I've ran the blade across it a bunch of times to get it as deep as I can. You gotta be careful because this thing's pretty flimsy, so you don't want to break this piece because I don't have a piece to replace this. I need that hole to hold the cup holder down. So now we're gonna go ahead, hopefully be able to break these off. We'll see. There we go. We've got our first one started, and then we can hopefully get this next one over here, or maybe this middle one. There we go. And our last one. Broken off. Now I gotta find it. There it is, all installed the first time. Now this is where a lot of you guys will probably stop, but we're gonna take this to the next level and do the OEM Plus system. The other thing I did notice though when I installed this is that these pins don't quite go all the way in. Feels like it's hitting something right in the center here. Not gonna be the end of the world for me, but since I am taking it off, I might as well clearance it just a little bit more. So go ahead, pull this thing all back off. And it's probably hitting this bracket right here. So we'll go ahead, trim that up just a little bit and call it good enough. So now, with this being magnetic, the problem I have if I center this and I go to take it off, how am I gonna keep that centered where I want to put the hole at? Now I'm gonna combat that. I was thinking about hot glue, but I've got double-sided sticky tape sitting right here, so we're gonna try that first, and then we'll see if we can get that centered so I can mark out the circle where that needs to be. Now I've got the hole marked out where I need to go. I'll find center in a second. Now the easiest way is going to be actually use a hole saw on this to get the hole in there. It's a circle, putting a circle in, why not, right? Now the problem with that is when I measure out the charger, it's 2 5/16 inches wide. The biggest bit, or the closest bit I've got, is 2 1/4, so I'm gonna have to make it work with kind of what I got. I'll have to get the Dremel out to make sure that it's all fine-tuned. But what that means is I've got that much now that I've got to trim all the way around everything to make sure that it fits perfect. So we're going to go ahead and start cutting holes in a brand new part. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of a problem with our placement of the hole, because now we just lost that tab. We'll see if it'll stay on there with that tab missing. We might have to glue that tab on the back of our charger to make sure that it works. Okay, let's go ahead and clean this up. Get it ready. So using the 2 1/4 actually worked out really well for getting a nice tight fit. I went through, drilled it, I took off all the burrs with the file. I have a little bit of a rounded file, and then I went ahead and took some 600 sand grit paper, 600 grit sandpaper to it, and that made it perfect. It's nice and smooth. There's no big burrs. I do have a couple little spots where it wasn't perfect, but it's black. So that's cool, and behind it, you're never going to see any light. So no light's going to be poking back through those little itty-bitty gaps. And I'm also going to have glue running around the outside. It shouldn't have a bunch of stuff pushing down on it, so I'm hoping that the super glue is enough. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, it's not like it's the hardest thing to take apart. We can just take the screw out, pop it out, and adjust from there. So here's the back side of the hole. I've got the little provision right here for my cable so that it can fit in there. The cable is just enough to where the thickness of this makes it stick in if you don't put a little provision. So you've got that. we've got it facing on this side, so it's back this way in the deepest part of this little cubby right here, and that will allow my angle to fit perfectly and go in this way down around, or maybe I'll cut a hole, or I could even go out the back here. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll go out the back here and go to it that way. Ford being Ford made it extra hard getting that power cable hooked up to get power to the actual USB input. Pain in the butt. I don't know why, but they changed their fuse now, so they have like a proprietary fuse. So I was planning on using one of these guys, a little tap-in extender, but now they don't fit. So if you've got a new Ford, you're gonna have to find a switched power cable underneath the kick panel to actually tap into. Well, it's officially raining now. The wiring took me a little bit, but I've got my port wired in right there. My wires come out the back, come through. You can pull this piece out. It pops off. There's two clips right here. It goes down the back side right here. Make sure to get it. You can kind of see the wire right there. Make sure to get it enough slack that it can go down. Get it on the back side. It goes all the way down. And right here on the seat bolt is where it's grounded. The red wire comes all the way up along the floor, right up into the fuse panel. Fuse panel's right here. Got that all dialed in, ready to go. Now, hopefully, I haven't tested this out yet, but if we go ahead, oh, I only zip tied that in there too. That's zip tied. I drilled 2 holes right here so I could zip tie it. I got my Type-C on the bottom so it's less interference, the least amount of interference as possible. But if we go ahead and turn the key now, notice that it's off, right? It had a blue light. If we turn the key, look at that. We got a blue light. Now, let's test to see if this thing will charge. Okay, got her plugged in. Take our phone. See if I can get it on there. Not quite plugged in. Let me do some check. Okay, that wire was not plugged in all the way. Had to click. But now, if we go ahead and we take our phone, bam, we're charging. That's sweet. So here it is, all final installed. And if we go ahead, take our phone, charging. But if we go ahead and turn the truck off, stops charging. But it still holds the phone where it needs to be. And I can even put it up and still keep the phone. That's cool. All right, I think I'm gonna get out of here. That's amazing. I'm stoked to have that done. That is gonna be so cool for pretty much just everyday use. I'm gonna use that every day. That's where my phone goes. Might as well charge it while I'm setting her down. So I like that. Let me know in the comments if you like this. Like I said, all the parts and all the part numbers are gonna be down below in the description. Let me know if you do this yourself. I want to see your guys's install if you do this yourself. Yeah, I'm going to get out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to enjoy my rainy day now. And take it easy, everyone. Peace.